Okay, let's talk about Rezolve AI, because this stock is right at a critical tipping point. Seriously, all the signs are pointing to a massive move this week. But the reason why, well, it's not at all what you might think. We're going to break down the hidden force that's really at play here. So that really is the big question, isn't it? What on earth could make a stock like this swing 30% in a single week? I mean, that is some serious volatility. Is it something about their new tech, a big management shakeup, or is there something way bigger, something totally external that's pulling all the strings? And here it is, the big twist. The real reason behind Rezolve's wild ride seems to have almost nothing to do with its actual AI software. Nope. Instead, it all points directly to the wild, explosive moves we've been seeing in the silver and gold markets. Yeah, you heard that right. Precious metals. All right, let's really dig into this. Because to get what's happening with Rezolve, you have to separate the thing everyone's talking about from the much, much bigger problem hiding just beneath the surface. Okay, so check this out. On the one hand, you've got what we can call the 20% problem. Yes, the company diluted its shares, and yeah, that definitely killed some of its recent momentum. That's a real issue. But this analysis says that's only a small piece of the puzzle. The real story, the 80% problem, is this hidden market force, this massive cash drain caused by the absolute frenzy in silver and gold that's been hammering the entire tech sector. So, how in the world does a shiny metal sink a high-growth software stock? It sounds kind of crazy, but let's break down this really surprising connection and see exactly how pressure in one tiny corner of the market can create a giant tidal wave somewhere else entirely. Normally, things like stocks and silver tend to move in the same general direction. It's a relationship that's held up for a long, long time. But just in the last few months, that historical connection has completely broken down. It's been totally upended, creating this really weird, unstable situation for stocks like Rezolve. And this chart just lays it all out perfectly. Look at this divergence. On one side, you've got software stocks, the IGV ETF, which have plunged over 20% deep into a bear market. And on the other side, silver has just gone parabolic. It's absolutely skyrocketed. This is not normal. When you see a split like this, you know something somewhere is under extreme pressure. And that pressure created what's called a liquidity vacuum. Just think of it like this. A giant wave of money rushed into silver, right? Well, that money had to come from somewhere. It got sucked out of other parts of the market, especially high-growth tech. This forced investors to sell perfectly good stocks like Rezolve, not because they wanted to, but because they had to. Let's just walk through this chain reaction step by step. First, you had investors betting that silver's price would go down. They were shorting it. But then, the price soared, and they were caught in a total nightmare, facing massive losses. So second, they desperately needed cash to cover those bad bets, which brings us to 3. What do they sell? They sell what they can, and that was often their high-growth tech stocks. And boom, number 4, that wave of forced selling created this huge downward pressure on the whole software sector, dragging great companies like Rezolve right down with it. Okay, so everything we've just talked about, all that pressure building up, it was all leading to a critical event that happened just last Friday. An event that might have just released all that pressure and completely changed the game for stocks like Rezolve. And the scale of what happened, it's just staggering. During that sell-off in precious metals on Friday, an estimated $10 trillion in market value traded hands. This wasn't just a little market adjustment. This was a seismic shift, a huge event with massive implications. And here is the absolute key. The big players, the major banks, the ones with these massive short positions, they finally gave up. They covered their losing bets on silver. This is a huge signal. It means the intense pressure that was causing this whole mess might finally be over. So what does that mean? Well, think of it like a massive pressure valve finally being released. With those big shorts now covered, the whole reason for that liquidity vacuum, that forced selling of tech stocks to raise cash, should, in theory, just stop. The immense weight that's been crushing the software sector and Rezolve with it may have just been lifted. Okay, so if the pressure is gone, where do we go from here? That is the billion-dollar question, right? The market and Rezolve is basically standing at a crossroads right now with 2 very, very different paths it could take. So let's look at these 2 paths. Path A is the bull case. In this scenario, the weird inverse relationship we've been seeing holds. Silver's price keeps falling, and all that money that was trapped there comes flooding back into these beaten-down tech stocks. The result? a massive rally for Rezolve. But then there's path B, the bear case. Here, the market snaps back to normal. Silver goes down, and just like it used to, the tech sector follows it right down, meaning a whole lot more pain ahead for Rezolve. And what makes this moment so incredibly tense is that so many of these stocks are in what's called washed out conditions. I mean, look at a company like PayPal at a 9-year low. And Rezolve itself has been hit hard. They have been sold off so much that they are just primed for an explosive move one way or the other. There just might not be many sellers left. You know, this really gets to the heart of it all. In a situation this complicated, with all these powerful forces crashing into each other, anybody who tells you they know for sure what's going to happen next is just guessing. The honest truth is, like the old saying goes, nobody knows anything. So what's the bottom line here? What does all this mean for someone watching a stock like Rezolve? If nobody can really predict the direction, what is the one thing we can take away from all this? And here's the key takeaway. Think of Rezolve as an amplified version of the market right now. Because it's a smaller, higher growth kind of company, whichever way the tech sector moves this week, Rezolve is probably going to do the same thing, but with a much, much bigger percentage swing. And we can even put a number on that. The analysis suggests Rezolve could swing around 30% this week. Now, let me be clear, that is not a prediction of a 30% gain. It's a potential 30% rally or a potential 30% drop. The one thing that seems almost guaranteed is a huge move. Which kind of leaves us with one final thought. When you have trillions of dollars shifting around, when historical patterns are breaking down, and a whole sector is balanced on a nice edge, maybe, just maybe, massive volatility is the only guarantee you have. We're about to find out.